Namaste. My name is Abraham Varghese. I lived in the UK for 45 years, and during that time I also practiced as a barrister. I hope to convey to you my experiences, any little knowledge I have in the course of conducting classes with B-GHUD. Any contact that you need to make, if you're interested in my classes, is through B-GHUD. I think the details are all available on the internet or other sources. And this is based in Maven. I've been asked to discuss the issue of employability. That is the main purpose, as I see it, for you all attending these courses, whether it be to advance yourself in our country itself, or if you need to advance yourself going abroad. Now, employability is a very broad term. For each kind of industry, for each kind of service, they have their peculiarities, they have their characteristics, and they have their particular demands within their own establishment. So it's not likely that you're going to fulfill all these requirements at all the time, in fact all the time, or that you will be asked to join just because you have got all these characteristics, because it may not be what they are really looking for. Now, it doesn't mean that you must not know what employability means, and some factors, in fact, that may help you during the course of the interview. And it is the interview also that I'm concentrating on. After all, the theory is something that you learn in your class. Now, employability, as I said, means a lot of things to a lot of people. It means one set of values, ideas, corporate directions, departmental values, departmental characteristics, the quality, the establishment, the ideas, and so on. A multitude of these items are very often part of a company's establishment, and they are necessary parts, necessary components to make up that particular company according to the vision and the direction of the directors or the owners. Or it may be a code of conduct also that is appreciated within that given industry. Clearly, the separation between industry and service is also very distinct. It's more likely that when you are providing a service, your need to be seen as social, as friendly, as helpful and directing, as caring, and being able to consider quite quickly the kind of character that the person is before you. Not that this is not necessary when you work for a firm, but it is, in my view, slightly more necessary in service industries, so that you can pick up their expected likes and dislikes, and you can cater to that in some form of advance or maybe suggested to them. You might find situations in which a couple come in, the husband likes to have a drink and the wife is against it, or vice versa. And what you can do is maybe say, "Sir, if you'd like a separate room, a separate area, we have that. Please join us there, subject to what you'd like to do and what your partner is saying." In other words, you're anticipating a particular environment for him, a particular privacy for him, and such like features, and maybe even small snacks along with a drink, maybe a bit of company in a secluded area. All these factors are some things that you can provide them by trying to understand their particular nature. Where there are children involved, clearly the mother generally takes advantage of her position and dictates what the child wants or what the child does not want. But very often children are not controlled in that way, and they express out what they like. So let us say that the child says, "Mom, I want an ice cream," and she says yes or no, or maybe not now. You could just then say, "Ma'am, we've got an alternative for ice cream. I'm not sure whether you'll have tried that. Could I provide you with an example of it so that you can decide whether you like to give it to the child or not?" Now, these are little bits and pieces that make for a personal appreciation of the individual, and they start to gain confidence in you so that they come to you and also seek whatever help that they believe you can provide. Now, for most interviews, you will be taken to a separate room where there are often a group of about 2 or 3 interviewers, and they might sit in order of seniority or priority and so on. It is very important for you at the outset to know and study the nature of the company. What is their business? What are they looking from you? What department are they going to consider you for? And you must have in your mind a range of salary within which you would find the job acceptable. Do not hesitate and say, "Sir, I'm most grateful. I will take it even though your own budget requires you to have another 7,000 rupees, and you just do it for the sake of doing it, in which case you'll be very unhappy, and it's very likely to affect your work also." So be honest and say, "Sir, I was expecting in the bracket of this. That is why I applied, in the hope that you all will consider that as a reasonable level of remuneration. Otherwise, sir, I'll have to beg my pardon, and do not hesitate to do that and leave." What you've got to understand also is that you don't want to waste their time. And they are seeking you as much as you are seeking them. Understand that they are advertising a position or creating a position for which they want a suitable person. So they also want you as much as you want them. Now, the question there is, how much do you want them as opposed to how much do they want you? Don't think that because they are powerful and have the money, that they can buy you for a song, or that they can just dictate things as they are. Stand up and show your character and be definite about what you're doing. If they ask you a question and you're not sure about the true answer, just be honest and say, "Sir, I don't believe I know that." Or if you haven't understood the question, say, "Sir, I have not understood the question. I'd be most grateful, sir, if you would repeat it for me, and I will do my best to answer." If you don't know, basically say, "I don't know." There is nothing wrong with it, because not everybody knows everything. And if their attempt is to just downgrade you or cut you, then just accept it. Or if you find the questions too bad and not relevant to your way of thinking, or not within the scope of your understanding, then again, don't waste their time. Speak to them nicely and leave the place. When you go for an interview, try and find out as much as you can about the company. You must be prepared to ask them questions also about the company, because that will show that you have done some basic homework in order to find out more about the job, and that you are a serious candidate for any vacancy that they have got for the right person. And while you are prepared or preparing yourself to sit down, make sure you don't have an aggressive approach, like standing like that or sitting like that. You take a simplified approach, giving them the feeling that you are showing them respect and that you are also quite firm and solid in your position. If there are, which is like more than likely, 2 or 3 people at the interview, if they don't introduce themselves to you and they just ask you your name and continue questioning you, you say, "Sir, I wonder if I might know the names of all those who are interviewing me, all those on this panel. It helps me a great deal to be able to address them accordingly." And while the chairman normally sits in the center, do not think that he is much more important than the other 2. They have also come to observe you, and questions can fly from any one of the 3 of them, or however many there are on the panel. And when you address them, just because one person asks the question, don't address only the person who's asked you the question. Address all the others also. You don't have to turn your neck 24 degrees or 180 degrees. You just look at them and make sure that you are giving them attention so that they feel important in your mind to be answered to also. Make sure that you get everybody's attention. There are some of them who will deliberately behave in a manner that is awkward, just to try and put you off. And you can have the boldness to say, "Sir, I was wondering whether you had any difficulty in hearing me. I was inquiring about your name, and I'd be grateful to know it from you or from the learned chairman or from the honorable chairman." Okay? So there are numerous little tactics that they employ in order to score points for themselves against you, or score points for you against them. All the time, all your movements are being observed, and your clear answers are very important. As I said earlier, if you don't know, say you don't know, because you don't know. And only if you say you don't know will you be able to learn the answer. But if you pretend that you do know, they will go with that assumption, and you will not be any the wiser. Then, as I was saying earlier, the eyes always give everybody somewhat equal attention, but mainly to the chairman, without forgetting, as I'm repeating in another way, without forgetting that the others exist and they also want to receive attention. As far as the dress is concerned, from my experience, most people would prefer a conservative form of dress, which is a shirt, trousers, shoes, socks, a tie, and do not ever forget your handkerchief. You will never know when you need it, and if you unfortunately need it and have to then seek their permission to look after yourself, it is a serious drawback. Make sure you have your hanky with you, and don't go on to wipe your nose or mouth with the sleeve of your shirt or using some other part of it. There's nothing more ugly than having to display that. Also, it's very important to realize and bear in mind that interviews are conducted and expect to finish within a given period of time. Do not go into rambling answers. Understand the question. Understand the question. It is very important. You will see a lot of our people on television forgetting what the question is and giving a history of the Ramayana and the Mahabharata to people who have already read it and studied it without answering the question. So hit the question back by an answer that addresses the material fact, the real question within it, the question part of it which asks you for your opinion, for your discussion, and for your values. It is very important to remember that. And finally, at this stage, I will also remind you that they do get bored interviewing one person after another on very much the same subject matter, because very often most of them are lazy and have one set series of questions, and they are likely to get one set and series of answers. Try and be different. Try and add and create a joke if necessary, okay, lightheartedly, so that they know that you're relaxed, you're confident, and you're able to make it interesting for them. Thank you very much. Namaste.